First of all, we continue to big up and thank you, our audience, our attendees. Thanks for coming on back. If there's anybody who you know should be joining back, call them, text them, WhatsApp them, DM everything. Tell them so they need to come back because Stacey is about to drop it very shortly and there are more prizes and surprises to come. Of course, we're reminding you, keep the questions coming, keep the comments coming, share the nuggets, drop the questions because there will be a Q&A after Stacey's session. And we want to hear from you. What are you picking up that's helping you? Because guess what, guys? We're pouring into each other. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Keep the tweeting going, all of y'all on Twitter. Remember, hashtag JMMB ELEVATE, hashtag JMMB Goal Getter. Drop the nuggets, whatever you're picking up. Drop it and share it with the world because that's how we're going to be building each other up to achieve our goals in 2021. And as Shauna J will tell you, you don't know if you're going to win a prize. So keep the tweets going. Of course, we continue to acknowledge and big up and thank our sponsors without whom this thing could not be possible, right? So we have to big up Adam and Eve Day Spa and Salon. Thank you very much. We have some winners so far, more winnings to come. Wonderful gift certificates. Big up and thank you to M10 Bar and Grill. Nice, yummy food. Giving us awesome gift certificates as well. Have to big up Center Yourself. Wonderful 100% Jamaican made natural candles and body care products, soaps, lip balm, cream, everything. Wonderful stuff. Big up Claudine Campbell Brand, JMMB team member. And then finally our fourth sponsor, Brescia, again, 100% Jamaican made. We're supporting with Jamaican businesses, right? Brescia, wonderful Jamaican made leather bags and pouches and things. Check them out. Also giving away prizes here. So guys, keep the questions and comments coming. And guess what? There are more opportunities to win. We are giving things, you know. We are giving things. At the end of this Elevate, you know, every year we do this, right? Because Elevate, yes, it's free of charge. We don't charge anybody to attend, but we want to make sure we're giving out a quality product, quality information. And what we do is we end by sending out an email to all of you who would have attended and registered. We send out an email to ask for your feedback. It's a nice little survey. We ask you to spend a few minutes. But guess what, guys? We try and make it worth your while. So please complete that survey. At the end of Elevate, you'll get an email within 24 hours or so with the survey link. Complete the survey because if you complete the survey, you'll get a chance to be one of 10 people who can win an Amazon.com gift voucher to spend US $45 on whatever you want on Amazon. Make it a good purchase. But yes, guys, look out for that survey. And yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And that's a global prize. So whether you're in Jamaica or you're watching this stream from anywhere in the world, you can shop on Amazon if you're a lucky gift voucher winner. So please look out for this email with the survey link. Give us your honest feedback and you could get a chance to win one of 10 vouchers. All right. So I think I have finished my housekeeping items. Yes, the bills are paid. I do have to send out a resume if you look another work. Now we can move into our final speaker for Elevate 3.0. And of course, you know, we're ending it with a lady. We normally end it actually with a man the last couple of years, but you know, we're mixing it up. Ending it with a lady this year, and she is awesome and fabulous. And like I tell you, her energy ton up. She's so excited to be here. She's on Instagram. If those of you who don't know her, check her out on Instagram. You'll get all that information. But she is an energy goddess. I'll just say that. That's my term, right? She's just full of energy, full of life, really anxious to pour into people. And officially, yes, she's an entrepreneur. She's a speaker, has a fabulous TED Talk, over 1 million views, like I tell you, so you need to check that out as well. But she is, as she describes herself, and I can totally believe this, she's an eternal optimist who is really all about influencing amazing people, because of pure amazing people we have right here at Elevate, influencing amazing people to be even more amazing. And that's what she's going to be doing here for us this afternoon. So ladies, gentlemen, everybody, pon the live JMMB 3.0 Elevate, please join me in welcoming Stacey Flowers. Hey, Stacey. Yeah, all
There I go.
right.
Okay, so you guys can hear me now. I cannot see you, but I think I can feel you. And because I cannot hear you, what you have to do is throw up the jazz hands like this. And then that way I can feel all of that and know when it's time for me to dive in and get started. So, jazz hands.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know that we have an applause feature, guys. So remember, keep tapping that applause button. And we're gonna send as much love and warmth. Stacy is in Chicago where it's nice and not warm. So we're sending all the Jamaican warmth her way. And it's gonna be awesome. Stacy, welcome to JMMB Elevate 3.0. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so honored by the invitation and the opportunity to be able to share.
Awesome, awesome. So we know that you're going to drop some awesome nuggets, some awesome words for us. So I am going to just step back. The stage is yours, Stacy. Over to you.
You guys excited? I'm excited. So again, I can't see you guys, so I'm gonna need the jazz hands. I'm gonna need the energy because what I want to talk to you guys about today is reigniting the passion to succeed. Now, before I came on here, I chatted with a couple of the people who have been hosting this event, and they let me know that you have already got nuggets about your mindset. You've already got gems about entrepreneurship. You've already heard lessons and principles around turning lemons into lemonade. And what I want to do in this closeout session is I want to just take all of that to the next level. I want to take all of that to the level of helping you to understand that no matter what circumstance, no matter what condition, no matter what thing you are currently dealing with right now, today, from right where you are in position. You are purpose. You have the power at any point to reignite your passion for success. So again, I can't see you guys, but the jazz hands would be great because I can feel all that. And one of the things that's important for me when I'm speaking is that like I feel where the audience wants. There we go. I see them. Okay, I feel where the audience wants to go because I feel like one of the best ways for you to be able to understand what it is that I'm saying is for me to share with you. And because of all the jazz hands and all the stuff that's going, I know you. Okay, all right. I get it. You guys are ready. So since you're ready, I feel like now what I can do is tell you about a time in my life, not too long ago. It was actually it was at the end of 2015. I had just achieved a great amount of success. And as a result, I had made a decision for myself at the end of 2015. And that decision was to enter into the living my best stress-free season of life. Right? So I was just like, at the end of 2015, my company was doing exceptionally well. So my business had just amassed so much success. I was blown away by how much success that my company had brought in. A couple of years prior to that, I had guardianship of my 13-year-old niece. And in me having guardianship of her, I took care of her for a couple of years, and we had just successfully transitioned her to move back in with her mom, right? My son, he was just coming of age into his teenage years and he was doing well. My finances, I said, listen here, my finances are exactly where I want them to be. And as a result, I said, you know what? Now is the time for me to enter into my best stress-free life. And so I made that decision. And in an effort to sort of solidify that decision, I made a big choice after that. And the choice was to upgrade my home. And what I wanted to do, and this is the reason why I need the jazz hands. This is the reason why I need to know that you guys are here because I'm telling you about some stuff in my life. But in an effort to upgrade my home, what I decided to do is upgrade my home to a 3-story, 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath downtown duplex in my hometown of Omaha, Nebraska. Now, what I thought the year was going to be is just a year of like decorating and throwing dinner parties with all of my friends who were also ready to live their best stress-free life. But what happened the following year in about March is that my eldest sister went through a crisis, and she called me and she said, hey, Stacey, I'm going through a crisis right now, and I know you just got your 3-story, 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath downtown duplex, but I was wondering if it was okay if I just come and stay with you for a little bit while I'm just sort of trying to get back on my feet and going through this crisis. And I was like, absolutely. What do you think? I have all of these rooms. Please come and move into my best life. Yes. And so my eldest sister moved in March. A couple of months after that, my mom actually went through a crisis of her own. And when my mom went through the crisis, it was around May. She called me and she said, hey, Stacey, I know that you and Quita are living, and Quita's living with you and you're sort of helping her through her crisis. But given that you're living in a 3-story, 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath downtown duplex, Mom was just wondering if it would be okay if I just came and stayed with you for a little bit while I just kind of get back on my feet. And I thought to myself, but it's my mom. So I was just like, okay, Mom, it's okay. You can come and you can move into my best stress-free life. And so my mom moved into my home. And it was just a month later, or no, actually, I'm sorry, a couple of months later, about 2 months later, I was actually at a conference speaking on the stage in Nassau, Bahamas, and I got another call from my mom. And she was actually calling on behalf of my baby sister. And when she called, she was just like, Stacey, I know that you are in the Bahamas on the beach and working and, doing the thing that you do, but me and your baby sister are here at your 3-story, 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath downtown duplex, and your baby sister's going through a crisis and she doesn't have anywhere to go. Is it any way that she can just move in until she gets on her feet? And I'm halfway across the world, and I say, Mom, that's fine. Brina can go ahead and move in. And so with that, my baby sister and my 4 nieces moved into my home. I get back from the Bahamas and a couple more months go by, and my second oldest sister, Stephanie, calls me and she says, Stacey, I know that everybody is at your 3-story, 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath downtown duplex, but I'm really going through something right now and I don't have anywhere else to go. Would it be okay if me and the girls moved in? And by this time I'm like, Steph, absolutely, you and the girls can move in. So my second oldest sister and my 3 nieces move into my home. It was just before Thanksgiving, and my dad called and he said, hey, daughter, I heard that everybody is staying at your 3-story, 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath downtown duplex. And I was talking to your mom. She said nobody's in the basement. And I was wondering if it would be okay if Dad moved in for a little bit. And I just remember saying to my dad, I was just trying to live my best stress-free life. But you know what, Dad? Sure, you can move in. And for those of you guys out there trying to calculate the math and following along, that means within a 9-month window, my entire immediate family moved into my 3-story, 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath downtown duplex. That would be my biological mom and dad, who have not lived together since I was a 6-year-old child, my 3 adult sisters, my 7 nieces, and my son all moved into my home. So needless to say, I did not live my best stress-free life that year. No, I went on to experience some of the deepest, most excruciating stress on planet Earth that year, because I could not figure out how to control for the stuff that was going on in everyone's life. And as every month went by, I felt like just more and more chaos was moving into my home. I felt like if I could just figure out how to control the relationships that my sisters were in, maybe things could get better. I thought that maybe if I could just figure out how to get my nieces out of the house by a certain time, then me, my mom, and my sisters would have 1.5 baths to get ourselves ready to be. I just thought if I could control a little bit, something in my very own home, then maybe, just maybe, I could get everybody through this situation. Because I don't know if you are anything like my family, but when myself or my family, when we go through a crisis, we don't go through a crisis with means. We don't go through a crisis with financial support. We don't go through a crisis with a spiritual grounding. When I or when my family goes through a crisis, we are in crisis. And so I, as this chaos began to move in my home, just started to take on the responsibility for every single adult who was under my roof, whether that be financially, spiritually, emotionally. I just was taking on the responsibility, because what I thought is that if I could figure out how to control this stuff, if I could just get it under control, then I would be able to fix not only the chaos that was in my actual home, but the chaos that was permeating their life, the chaos that was stamping out the fire that used to be my baby sister's passion, that used to be my eldest sister's passion, that used to be my mother and my father. I just thought if I could just control a a little bit, then maybe I would be able to get everybody back on the path to success. But that didn't work out. Eventually, things began to boil over and it got to a head. And when things boiled over and got to a head, I had to really sit with myself. And when I sat with myself, what I realized is that in my effort to control for all the chaos that was coming into my home, in my effort to try to control for the path of success for my siblings and my parents, in my effort to try to just control things so that I can recreate the success that I had, I didn't realize that in my effort to control all of that, I was leaking the power that I once had to actually produce the success in my life. I did not realize that I was leaking the power that I once had to live a life filled and fueled by my passion. I did not realize I was leaking the power to be an entrepreneur. I didn't realize I was leaking the power to just be a parent to my own child. I didn't realize I was leaking the power to create real happiness in my own life. I just didn't realize I was leaking it. And so what I wanted to come here and talk to you all about, and what I actually wanted to encourage you all to do in your effort to reignite your passion for success, what I really want to encourage you to do, if you are anything like me and you have experienced some of the crises that are global, that have been happening around us, if you're feeling the chaos, if you're feeling the movement of so many uncertain things being outside of your control, and all you keep thinking and pondering is if I could just control what I am here today to do is to implore you, to encourage you, to speak to you in such a way that you decide to surrender the idea of control in favor of picking up your power. And not just any kind of power, but the power to actually reignite the passion in your own life to produce the success that you deserve and desire. So many of us think that we can control things, right? When I travel around the world and I'm talking to different people at conferences, they're just like, oh my gosh, if I can control when I get the ring, when I get the promotion, if I get the job, when I buy the house, if I get a new car, what I'm wearing, the weather, if I can just control something, then I can be successful and happy. And I'm like, that's not how it works. The way to produce the success that you deserve in your life is through power. The way to ignite the passion to succeed is through your power. And I'm saying power because I mean that quite literally. Power is something that comes from within. It is very different than control. Power is something that grounds you. Power is something that fuels you. It's self-sustaining. It enables you to be able to do things that are impossible. So I mean power quite literally, but I also mean power to set you up for these 5 practical princesses, because here's what. I am one of God's practical princesses, and I like for things to be practical. I think it's wonderful when someone can be entertaining. I think it's wonderful when someone can be energetic and exciting, but there is nothing like somebody actually giving me a tactical strategy that I can actually apply in my life as soon as tomorrow. That is how you change a life. And I want to be able to offer that to you, and I want it to stick to you. So when I'm saying power, I mean it from that grounding, self-sustaining, refueling place, but I also mean it as an acronym to support you in remembering these 5 principles. So if you are right now, wherever you are, this is the time where you should grab a piece of paper and you should put a POWER right down the side of your paper, because each one of those letters is going to stand for a principle. The POWER, that first principle, that first letter in your power stands for P. Stands for people. The P in your power stands for people. And this is so incredibly important because a lot of times when people are trying to reignite their own passion, they try to do it alone. They're like, I'm going to go to a corner all by myself and I'm going to reignite my passion. I'm going to go take everything that I have and I'm going to spend that time alone. And that is just not the way to stay passion fueled enough to produce the success that you deserve and desire. The way to do that is through people. Now, Jim Rohn says it this way, and I talked about this in my TED Talk. He says that you are the average of the 5 people that you choose to associate with the most. I wholeheartedly, completely agree, and I think most of us know that. But what many people don't know is who those 5 people should be. So this is what you write down, people, and then you write down these 5 people. Those people should be your cheerleader. They should be your mentor. They should be your coach. And let me clear up my hands, right? What I'm doing here with my hands, it's just an anchor so you can remember, so you can remember the people, right? So cheerleader is on your thumbs up. right? Because he or she is rooting for you. Your mentor is on your index finger because he or she is always pointing you in the right direction. Your coach is here on the middle finger because the coach is designed to make you uncomfortable. He or she is designed to kick you out of your comfort zone and stretch you and pull you and push you, right? Your coach is one of those 5 people. Then you have your friend who's here on this ring finger. And I put the friend on the ring finger because I'm told that the ring finger actually has a vein that if you follow the vein, it's connected to your heartstrings. And so many of us don't have friends in our life that are actually connected to the dreams of our heart. And we're wondering why we don't have the passion to succeed. We're wondering why we don't feel like we have the power to make our dreams come true. We're wondering why we can't maintain the mindset shifts. We're wondering why we can't turn lemons into lemonade. And sometimes it's just because you don't have the friend to help hold on to those dreams that you have in your heart. And then the 5th person here is on the pinky. It's represented by the pinky. And this is your peer. And this person is incredibly important. This is the person, they're not necessarily your friend, but they're that person who understands the industry that you're trying to go into. So for example, as an entrepreneur, some of my friends have no idea the risk and the reward of entrepreneurship. They see the reward. Everyone sees the reward, but very few people understand the risk. But I have so many entrepreneurial peers that I can commiserate with and I can talk to, and they keep me when I want to give up, when I want to stop. They say, no, Stacey, keep going, right? These are the 5 key people that you need in your life. These are the 5 people that are part of your power that allow you to reignite your passion to succeed. Now, one of the things that my mentor told me is he said, you know, Stacey, people are not going to listen to you unless they know why you care. And people will not know why you care unless you tell them who you are. And I mean, clearly you guys can tell just from my opening remarks that I am a woman who clearly adores my family. Like, I love my family so much. That's something that you know about me. I'm sure with the marketing materials and those different things that went out, you also know that I've done a TED Talk. You know, I'm a speaker. You know, I'm an entrepreneur. You know, I have my bachelor's and my master's degree. You know all of these things about me, likely. But oftentimes when I get on the stage to speak, what people don't know about me is that I became a mom when I was 17 years old and a senior in high school. And for me, when that happened, you know, my biggest stress in life went from, am I going to make the cheerleading team, to where am I going to get the $3.16 that I need so I can buy a can of formula to feed my son. And that was bad, but it wasn't as bad as what other people had to say about me. And other people would say some terrible things. They would tell me that my son was going to have a dumb mom because I was pregnant in high school. They would tell me that my son was more likely to end up in prison, live on welfare, and live the remainder of his life in poverty simply because I was his mom and I was a teen mom. Now, I don't know about you, but when I heard that last statistic, there was just something in my 17-year-old heart that said, no, Stacey, you will not be a statistic. You will figure out how to become a success. And in an effort to expedite my success at 17, I decided to drop out of high school. And I happened to go to a high school where, in order for me to formally withdraw, I had to sign my name to papers. And I don't know if there's anybody in this session who's ever been in a situation where if you sign your name to a piece of paper, it changes everything in your life. Just your signature changes everything. And I remember signing my name to this piece of paper. And I remember going to my high school, walking down the corridors, getting to my guidance counselor's office, bursting in her door and just screaming out loud, "Miss Searless, I'm dropping out of high school because I'm pregnant." And I remember Miss Searless looking at me and saying, "You know what, Stacey? You can drop out of high school, or you can go to college. And with those words, Miss Cyrillus took the papers from my hands to withdraw from high school and gave me an application to the College of St. Mary, where she helped me to fill out new boxes and sign my name to a new piece of paper. A piece of paper that turned into an application to College of St. Mary that enabled me to become the first person in my family to graduate from high school. The first person in my family to go to college. The first person in my family to do so many things. And I'm telling you this because, you see, Miss Cyrillus was my very first cheerleader. And when I couldn't believe in myself, Miss Cyrillus rooted for me. She believed in me. When I didn't have the right passion to succeed, when I didn't know what the path was for success for me or my child, Miss Cyrillus, my cheerleader, rooted for me. And so I am not telling you what I think. I am telling you what I know. If you want to have the power to reignite your passion so that you can succeed in your life, you need to get connected to these 5 key people. You need to connect to the P in your power, your people, your cheerleader, your mentor, your coach, your friend, and your peer. If we were in the room together, I would ask you to say power. We are not, so I'm just going to say POWER for myself so that we can keep chatting. Because after you have your P, the people in your life together to help you stay fueled and passionate about the success you deserve and desire, here's what's going to happen. There are going to be obstacles on that path, and you're going to be like, man, I just got my people together. What? The O in your power stands for obstacles. And I'm bringing this to your attention because I want you to understand that obstacles are a part of the path of success. Obstacles are evidence of your passion. The way that John Maxwell says it is, he says you only experience resistance when you are moving forward. And so many people, when they hit an obstacle, they say, oh, look, that's the sign that I'm done. Oh, look, that's the sign that I'm on the wrong path. Oh, look, I should stop. Oh, look, I'm confused. Oh, look, I'm wrong. And I'm telling you today that the O in your power stands for obstacles. And I'm telling you ahead of time so you can anticipate them and face them with your eyes wide open. Because most of the time when we face an obstacle, we get scared and we close our eyes. And what happens when you close your eyes? When you were a little kid and you closed your eyes and you thought that there was a ghost under the bed, you know what made the ghost worse? Closing your eyes and imagining that the ghost was bigger than what it was. You know what made the ghost go away? Opening your eyes and turning on the light. Here's what it worked for us when we were children, and it's going to work for us as adults. There are so many of us closed eyes looking at our obstacles, making up and making it bigger than what it actually is. I am here today to tell you to open your eyes and look at those obstacles. Look at those obstacles as an opportunity to stay the course, an opportunity to refuel yourself, an opportunity as evidence that you are on the path to success. Oftentimes, from an entrepreneurial perspective, from a financial perspective, the greatest obstacle that you are going to face is what they have to say. The greatest obstacle is what other people think. And it's not just what they think, it's what they actually say out loud. And here are the 2 things that they're going to say something about. They're going to say something about you starting, and then they're going to say something about you if you need to start over. But if you can just look at that obstacle of other people's opinions and say, look, I'm going to open my eyes and I'm going to look at other people's opinion and I'm going to see it for what it is. I don't care if it's your mom. I don't care if it's your spouse. I don't care if it's your child. I don't care if it's your best friend. I don't care if it's your mentor. I don't care who it is. When other people have something to say about you starting or starting over, you need to understand, especially if it's negative, understand that that is just an obstacle that is presenting you with the evidence that you have an opportunity to stay on the path to succeed at what it is that you deserve and desire. Obstacles are a part of this game called life. Do not opt out when you are faced with an obstacle. Lean in, open your eyes and face it with curiosity. What I do now when I'm faced with what other people have to say, I stand in it and I say, oh, this is what other people have to say about the way that I've chosen to parent my child. Oh, this is what other people have to say about the way that I've chosen to run my business. Oh, this is what other people have to say about my Instagram. I let them say what they want to say, and I let them be wrong about me. And I face that obstacle with my eyes wide open. I have started over so many times. The business that has me here presenting to you today is my 6th business. This is the business that I built after I failed publicly. After that living my best life season and I had all that entrepreneurial success, I plummeted and I failed completely, and I had to close 2 companies. And then I found myself in an extreme amount of debt. And I had to start over. And when I started over, people said I was delusional. When I started over, people said it's not going to work. When I started over, people said, not her, she's not the one. When I started over, they had a lot to say. And I just stood in that obstacle and said, I must be on the path. I must be on the path to succeed. And I'm telling you, when your obstacle is showing up, understand that that is a part of your power. That is a part of the thing that's fortifying you. That is a part of the thing that's nurturing you. That is a part of the thing that's growing you. If you are willing to open your eyes and look at it and explore it with a curiosity and face it, leaning in. The O in your power stands for obstacles, right? So we'll have our people and we'll have our obstacles, but we'll need that W. The W in our power stands for why. And your why is so important, because when your people show up and your coach is kicking you out of your comfort zone and your cheerleader is rooting for you on the right path, your mentor is guiding you along, your friends are supporting you, your peer is helping you to commiserate, and your obstacles are showing up, you're going to need to know why you are trying to succeed. You're going to need to know why you want to live a passionate life. You're going to need to know why you are doing what you are doing. Nietzsche says it this way: the person who understands their why can endure any how or any what. What that looks like is if I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, when what I have to do shows up, I don't punk out. I just say, oh, okay, I know why I'm doing this. If I know why I'm doing what I'm doing and a how shows up, I don't stop. I say, oh, I know why I'm doing this. A really good example I may mention, everything plummeted after, my family moved in and I experienced something called nervous exhaustion, which is the updated term for nervous breakdown. I had a full psychological nervous breakdown. This sort of was a snowball effect, and my companies and my business is failing, my financials, everything. I had to start over from scratch. And I found myself with over $200,000 worth of debt, 2 failed companies, no job. Starting over. And this is after I had done a TED Talk. And so there was also this public shame and humiliation. And one day I was sitting and I had this conversation with myself. And I said, you have to start over. And if you are going to start over, you're going to need to know why you are starting over. And you're going to need to know your why so clearly that when this how shows up, you don't punk out. And so I sat there and I said, okay, I need to start over. I need to understand finances. There's something that I don't get about it, because there's no way I should have had that much money come through my hands and not have any of that money to show for myself right now. There's no way. So I know why I'm about to go on this financial journey. And let me tell you, my why was so powerful that at the start of me starting over, at the beginning of my financial journey, I literally went onto the internet, onto YouTube. At the time, I had about 2,000 subscribers, so I really thought that it would just be me and my 2,000 subscribers listening to this. I went onto the internet and I told my YouTube community exactly how much debt I was in, and I think it was right around $210,000. I told them that I didn't have a job. I told them that I wasn't paying my bills. I told them that I was going to start over, and it was going to start with me working part-time at a cafe, making about $800 a month. And when my friends saw me do that, they said, Stacey, how are you doing this? Are you not embarrassed? I said, no, I'm not embarrassed, because I know why I'm doing this. I know why I'm getting my finances together. I know why I'm choosing to share on the internet. It's because I needed a next level of accountability. When my how showed up and I decided to follow a financial management plan that's countercultural, I said, I'm going going to follow this because I know why I'm doing it. And as more and more people started to follow my journey and tell me that I was delusional and I was never going to get out of debt and it was completely impossible because there was no way I was going to do it, working part-time at a cafe, making $800 a month, I never stopped just because what they had to say or how difficult it was. Now, when I started this journey in late 2017, I was working part-time at a cafe and my average income per month was $800. Now we are in 2021 and I just put up a budget. My debt is down significantly, but the thing that I am incredibly proud of, my debt is under 6 figures now, is that my income while working part-time, running my own company, is an average of $20,000 a month. Now, when people ask me, how did I get there? When people ask me, how was I able to produce that kind of success inside of a few years? I tell them it's because I know why I was doing what I was doing. It's not because I knew how to do that. When I was making $800 a month, that's all I knew how to do. Coming out of such a failure, coming out of such a humiliation, all I knew how to do was start back over from that place. I didn't know how I would go from there to here, but I knew why I had to get here. I didn't know what. When I was making $800 a month working part-time at a cafe, I didn't know what I needed to do to get to $20,000 a month working part-time. I didn't know what to do, but I knew why I was doing it. And that why was enough to carry me forward. That why was enough to get me to this very moment where digitally I'm in Jamaica. Like, what? Are you kidding me? That's amazing. Like, that's where I am right now. And I wouldn't have been there had I not known why I was doing what I'm doing. So if you're sitting there and you're in a situation where you need to start, maybe you just need to start the company and you keep not starting. You're like, I don't have enough passion for it. It's because you don't know why you want to start that company. Figure out why you want to do it. Maybe you're like me and you are coming off of a failure and you literally need to start over. And it's hard and embarrassing and scary. If you get connected with that why, you will be able to face all of that, any of that. I am coming here today to encourage you, to show you, to explain to you that your power is how you reignite the passion to succeed. It is the path. The people will support you. The obstacles will be there and your why will carry you forward. But here's the thing. I know that some of you guys may be sitting there and you're like, okay, I got my people, I understand, okay, but I don't even know what it is that I want. I don't know what I don't know. I think, I'm not for sure. You might be there. And for those of you guys who are there, that's why there's an E in your power. Because the E in your power stands for expectations. And here's the thing about expectations. It gets a bad rep, especially on Instagram. On Instagram, people will be like, expectations is the beginning of disappointment. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, that is not accurate at all. Like, I have had the privilege to work with people's expectations for about a decade. To put myself through undergrad and graduate school, I was a waitress, and so I waited tables, and I loved waiting tables, okay? So I dealt with my fair share of people's expectations, and what I learned is two things. One, and you should be writing this down, expectations are for you, not other people. Two, expectations are the seeds to your standards. It is your responsibility to set them and then step into an environment that is designed to serve you. That is how expectations work. But what inevitably happens is people are like, I'm not going to set any expectation because I don't want to be disappointed. And then that turns into confusion about what you want. And then that turns into confusion about what you're passionate about, which ultimately stifles your ability to be able to succeed. Now, here's the thing. In the decade that I waited tables, I'm a state girl. I'm born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska. We have the beef, right? So I'm a total state girl. So pretty much, with the exception of one, all of the restaurants that I worked in were steakhouses. We had New York strip, filet, cowboy. We had all the steaks. And inevitably, and listen, let me explain. When I tell you I love waiting tables, I love waiting tables. So I am actually an amazing waitress. But inevitably, whenever I would wait tables, there was a very specific group of people that no matter what I did, no matter how I showed up and brought them there, no matter what I did, they were always disappointed with my service and I could never meet their expectation. And you know who those people were every single time they came into my steakhouse? It was the vegans and the vegetarians. And you want to know why they were disappointed with my service, and you want to know why I couldn't meet their expectations, is because they went to a steakhouse for vegetables. That's not the environment designed to serve you. And we do that in our life, right? This is what it looks like. Let's just pretend, and jazz hands, right? Let's just pretend you are right now about to come to my restaurant. Like, you're gonna come to my steakhouse, I'm gonna be your waitress, and you're gonna bring your cheerleader, your mentor, and your coach, right? And you guys are all sitting at the table. You're there, I'm your waitress. I come out, I am delighted. I'm like, welcome to my steakhouse. What can I get for you? And you tell me, you know what, Stacey? I would like a medium rare filet mignon with horseradish mashed potatoes, grilled asparagus, a Caesar salad, and a bottle of a glass. Okay, fine. A glass of Cabernet, right? That's what you tell me you want. I write down your order, write down your coach's order, your mentor's order, your cheerleader's order. Then I run to the kitchen, I put it in. About 15 minutes later, I bring the food out. And I set down your coach's food, and I give her her food. I sat down your mentor's food. I give your mentor his food. I sat down your cheerleaders. I give your cheerleader her food. Then I'm about to set your food down, and I'm bringing that plate around. Listen, you are hungry. You can hear the food sizzling on the plate. You are so excited about this. And when I get ready to bring that plate around to set down right in front of you, I set the plate down. And when the plate hits the table, you look down and you notice, and you can smell it, that it is the most delicious smelling, most beautiful display of rotisserie chicken over wild rice with mixed vegetables that you have ever seen in your entire life. Now, one of four things happens when I do that as your waitress. You could be like this person. I set down the chicken. You obviously order steak. And so you respond with like, oh, you know what? Oh man, I ordered steak and this is chicken. Oh man, like, it's okay. Don't even worry about it. I'll eat the chicken. It's okay. And I'm like, no, I'll take it. You're like, no, I'll eat it. I eat chicken. I want a steak, but I do eat chicken. So I'll just eat it. Don't worry. Just leave it. I got it. And you fight to keep this chicken that you didn't order and you don't want. That's one way people react. Another way that people react, I set that rotisserie chicken down, and this person, and you can jazz hands me if it's you, is livid. It's like, how you messed up my order? You only got 4 people to serve, and you can't bring out me a steak? I ordered steak, and this is chicken. And ultimately what happens is that person's 10 years of unhealed emotional trauma comes spewing out onto me as your waitress because I brought you chicken instead of steak, and you yell and you fuss. But in the end, you're like, you know what? Don't even worry about it. I'm going to eat the steak. I'm going to keep it. It's here. I'm going to eat it. It's here. It's hot. I'm obviously not going to get what I want. I'm going to eat the steak. So that person sits and eats their steak. There's also a third reaction. There's a third reaction. And in the third reaction, what happens is this person doesn't underreact. They're not like, oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. They're not overreacting and they're not doing that. They don't say anything at all. You don't even notice as a friend sitting with this person that they didn't get what they wanted, because until it's time to go and they have the biggest doggy bag because they really wanted steak but they had chicken, you don't even notice that they are not enjoying this thing and they're not getting what they want. Very rarely in the decade that I waited tables would I encounter the person who, when I brought out chicken after they clearly ordered steak, would they just look at the chicken and say, oh, you know what? So sorry, I ordered steak, so you can go ahead and just take this back and I'll wait for my steak. Just calmly send the chicken back and wait for their steak. And you want to know why I rarely run into a person who is willing to send the chicken back so that they can get their steak? It's because if you are going to send chicken back, you actually have to wait for your steak. And so what happens in our life, we just decide that we're going to accept chicken careers and chicken relationships and chicken friendships and chicken wardrobes and chicken businesses and chicken companies and all this chicken in our life when all we really want is steak. And we're just unwilling to wait for our steak. And what I'm telling you about your expectations is that your disappointment isn't because steak doesn't exist. It's because you're eating chicken. And you want to know how you know if you have chicken in an area of your life? Because you are sitting there complaining about it. It doesn't matter if it's in your relationships. It doesn't matter if it's in your career. It doesn't matter if it's in your business. It doesn't matter if it's in your money. Wherever you are complaining in your life, you have accepted chicken when the option to send the chicken back and wait for your steak was always there. This is the reason why I teach people about expectations and their power. Because if you don't set your expectations, you don't know what environment to step in that's designed to serve you. If you know you want steak, you will not go to Burger King. If you know you want seafood, you will not go to a steakhouse. So many of us are afraid to say what we want, to claim what we want, and then we get frustrated when we're not getting it. It is your job to figure out what it is, your expectation. It is your job to set that standard, to decide, and then spend the rest of your life stepping into environments that are literally designed to serve you. That is the expectation. That is some incredible power. Imagine the man, imagine the woman who says, this is what I want, and I am willing to wait and send anything back. That's not that. When I decided that I wanted to be 100% debt-free and live my life by cash, but I wanted to build a successful company, running it part-time, when full-time opportunity showed up, I sent the chicken back. When I decided that I wanted to psychologically, mentally, and emotionally rebuild myself in a healthy, therapeutic way, and opportunities to do a quick fix on my inner work showed up, I sent the chicken back. And now I am living my steak expectations. I'm living in the steak of my life. I'm staked in my life, and I want you to have that kind of power. Why? Because that is what reignites your passion to succeed. That is what keeps you on the path. And here is the last thing, and then after that I have one more story, and then we will close and have questions, so you guys can start dropping the questions now. The last part of your power is the R. And the R stands for responsibility. And the best definition that I've ever heard about responsibility is the ability to respond. Now, we have seen in the last 9 months, people react. We have seen very few people respond. Why? Because in order to respond, you actually have to take responsibility. And most human beings do not want to take responsibility for their own chaos, for their own drama, for their own anxieties, for their own issues, for their own fears. Most of us don't want to take responsibility for that. So we blame and we push all of that out. But here's what I want you to know. You will not have the power to succeed unless you are willing to accept responsibility for your entire life. I don't care what the placement is. When I had plummeted professionally, plummeted mentally and emotionally, plummeted physically, plummeted as a mother, plummeted in all of the areas that when I plummeted, before I could take that first step back up, even with people in my life, even with me facing my obstacles with my eyes wide open, even with me understanding my why and being willing to set expectations, it was not until I accepted full responsibility for all of it. And responsibility is different than blame. Now, I didn't blame myself for having a nervous breakdown. I didn't blame myself for ruining my finances. I didn't blame myself for failing at my companies, but I took responsibility for it. I gave myself an ability to respond to each of those different circumstances. I said, okay, this is how I want to respond to my finances. I accept full-blown responsibility for that. I'm going to respond initially by going and getting a part-time job, just so that I can bring in some income, because some money is better than no money. And I'm going to start there. The next thing that I'm going to accept responsibility for is not budgeting my money. So every single month before the month begins, I'm going to do a budget, because that is how I'm choosing to respond to not understanding how money works, right? When I started to rebuild my company, I said, you know what? I'm not just going to do what everyone is saying you have to do in entrepreneurship. No, I'm going to accept my ability to respond to the current pressing circumstances. This last year, so many people have had to pivot, and they've had to pivot their companies, but you can see their reactions and their floundering. I responded to what happened in these last few months, and my company is doing well. My mental and emotional health is doing well. My finances are doing well, but that is because I accepted 100% responsibility for my life. 100% responsibility for my choices. 100% responsibility for where I am. And if you want to have the power to reignite the passion you will need to succeed and to just have the success you deserve and desire, today has to be the day that you accept full responsibility for the circumstances of your life. That doesn't mean you are to blame, but that does mean that you are in a position to respond. That is the power. That is what I want each and every single person who is hearing me today. I want you to get your people. I want you to face your obstacles. I want you to get clear on your why, set some expectations, and take responsibility for your life. But I get that when people show up and they share things like that, it's so hard to take it and go do something. So anytime, and I get it, I'm sharing simple things, and it's easy to look at that and be like, oh, okay, that's super cute and simple, power, yay. But anytime I have to share a simple truth, I tell people this story. Now, I made mention that, I had a son. He is now a fully grown legal adult. He's 18 whole years old. He graduated from high school. He's in college. I am having an internal fit about it because I'm in full-blown empty nest syndrome, having a full-blown identity crisis. But this is the story about when he was much younger. And when he was much younger, all my son wanted was a dog. He was like, Mom, can I have a dog? Mom, can I have a dog? Mom, can I have a dog? And I just really did not want a dog. And so me and his dad decided instead to get him a fish. And I remember we went to the pet store, and I walked up to the pet owner and I said, hey, as a family, we need the best fish in this whole place. And the pet owner knew what we were talking about, the fish that don't die easily. So he took us over to the beta fish, and when he took us to the beta fish, my son ran right up to the aquarium, pressed his cute little hands up there, his face pointed at a fish, and it was a purple and blue fish, and he was like, I want that one. And I was just like, oh, son, why did you choose that one? And he was just like, well, it's purple and blue. Purple's your favorite color. Blue is for me and my dad and the boys, so it'll be like our family fish. And I was just like, yes, it will be our family fish. Love that kid. And so my son is an only child. And so a part of him being an only child, he gets only child things. And so instead of just getting him the clear bowl for his little beta fish to go in, no. Me and his dad got him a 2-story white house with a white picket fence, a door, and 2 windows for his fish to go in. So when we take the purple and blue beta fish and the white house home, I'm setting it all up at his dad's house. And I tell my son, I was like, okay, we're going to put the fish in. And in the morning, all you have to do for fish food is you just take a little pinch and you put it in the bowl, and that's it. Just a little pinch and put it in the bowl. So then my son is like, okay, Mom, just a little pinch. But I said, perfect, son. That's all you have to do. So when my son is at his dad's house, he would call me and he would be like, Mom, guess what? My fish is swimming by the window. My fish is swimming by the door. One morning, he's like, oh, Mom, guess what? My fish came out the door. He's swimming by the fence. And every day I'm getting an update on where his fish is. And I'm like, oh, this is so exciting. And then I remember one morning, my son called me and he was so excited. He was like, Mom, you are not going to believe this. And I said, what is going on, son? What's going on? And he was just like, my fish is swimming upside down. And I was like, is it really? Well, let me talk to your dad. And so I get on the phone with his dad and I'm like, okay, Rodney, obviously the fish is dead. Do you want to tell our son the truth, or do we just want to replace the fish? And I remember his dad saying, it's not time for the truth for him. He's not going to be able to handle the truth. Let's just go ahead and replace the fish. And I said, okay, that's fine. I'll run to the fish store. I'll pick up another fish and I'll drop it off at your house. And he's like, no, that's a lot of work for you. You got to go to work. I can just pick it up on my way and I'll bring it back to the house. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, are you sure? I can just run and go get it. He's like, no. I got this. And I was like, okay. So his dad does his day, stops by, gets a fish. I go to work. My son goes to school. When my son got out of school, I got the most excited phone call that I have ever gotten from my human being in his entire life. He was like, Mom, guess what? You are not going to believe this. And I was like, what is it, son? What is it? What is going on? Please And my son says, oh, Mom, I talked to my dad and he said it's a tropical fish and it just adapts to whatever environment it's in. So soon it's going to be all white, just like the house. And I said, your dad is absolutely right. That is a tropical fish. And I tell that story anytime I have to offer people a simple truth, because when we see it on a kid, we're like, oh, I get he wants a tropical fish, but how many of you have heard me for the last 45 minutes and you're hearing the POWER, but you're like, no, I think I'm going to hold on to my tropical fish, right? A tropical fish is that I can control enough stuff and that will be able to reignite my passion to succeed. That's a tropical fish. Control is a tropical fish. A tropical fish is, I'll start tomorrow. It's a tropical fish. Because the truth is, if you start today, you will reignite your passion to succeed. The truth is that in order for you to be able to reignite your passion to succeed, in order for you to get the success that you deserve and desire, the truth is you have to be willing to harness the power to succeed. And that's what I want for you. I appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to share, and I hope that you all release your tropical fish and pick up the truth of your power. Thank you so much. It's all that I have for you.
Oh my God. The tropical fish. I love that one. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use it if that ever happens. But awesome analogy. First of all, guys, one of the key takeaway phrases for Elevate 3.0, we are sending the chicken back. We are sending the chicken back. Right? Living this
life. You need a steak. We don't have steaks in our own life. Come on. Send the chicken back.
Let me tell you, send the chicken back and let go of that tropical fish. Yes, you are Jamaican, but we need to really be willing to just step into the power, step into what we need to get to where we need to go. Take the step, be courageous. Stacey, awesome. I mean, you are sharing a lot of the comments with you, loving your energy, loving your vibe. It's been wonderful.
I felt the jazz hands. So I'm just responding to how you guys felt it.
Absolutely. And guys, yes, keep that applause button tapping so we know that we're on point with this awesome content. So Stacey, of course, continues to be very generous with her time, and she is gonna answer a couple questions for us now. So I'm just gonna pick that up. You know, Stacey, of course, I said it already, your energy is awesome. And we have a question here. How do you stay motivated and true to your goals? Obviously, adversity is something that you have experienced. You would have shared that with us. And a lot of us are going through some challenging times and will be probably for a little while. How do you stay motivated and on track?
Yeah. So two things. One, it's very countercultural, but the way that I actually stay motivated is I rest quite a lot. Like, there are a lot of people who are not motivated because you're literally tired. You're physically tired, you're emotionally tired, you're mentally tired, you're spiritually tired. And fatigue actually drains motivation in a way that, like, more work and more hustle doesn't refuel that. So that's the first thing. I rest quite a lot. I have a rest practice where every 7 days I take a day off. Every 7 weeks I take a week off. Every 7 months I take a month off. And then on the 7th year since I started this practice, I'm going to take the full year off. And I'm going to keep doing that as I age in my life. And what I found is that after resting, I'm so excited that I get to get back to work. I'm like, oh, I'm so ready. I have this idea. It's just like I'm on fire about it. And there's so many people that just don't really appreciate how taxing mental and emotional and physical exhaustion is to motivation. So that's the countercultural thing. And then I think in terms of staying motivated and staying true to myself, I really did a lot of work to figure out who I am. And that started with me figuring out my values. And it's a question that a lot of people don't pause to ask themselves. But like, if I were to ask everybody who's listening right now to put in their top 3 values, if you can't rattle that off quickly, not just your typing speed, but just the ability to just quickly respond, a part of the reason why you're not motivated is because you're not living from the inside out. You're living from the outside in. So you're driven by somebody else's value. And here's the thing, values are neutral. So there's no good or bad values. But like, for example, I used to be, before I had this last nervous exhaustion, I thought ambition was a value of mine. And so I was incredibly ambitious as a kid. I always wanted more. I would, there's so much that I wanted out of life. And so I thought ambition was my value. And when I tried to do my life, because I wanted entrepreneurships, and a lot of entrepreneurs who value ambition, the way they talk about entrepreneurship is very different. And so I tried to do my life based off that particular value, and I burnt out every single time. And it wasn't until I sat down and I was like, okay, Stacey, what do you actually value? Is it ambition for ambition's sake? Like, is it achievement? I don't get a thrill out of achieving for achievement's sake. I don't get a thrill out of making something, scaling something and making it bigger just because. That's not actually what I value. What I realize is what I really value is personal growth. And so imagine if you think your value is ambition, and so you're running and chasing after everything, but your real value is personal growth. I'm not internally fueled because I'm not being driven by what actually matters to me. So I would say next to resting is just to give yourself a moment to figure out what your top 3 values are and then live your life based on that. So the way that my company is set up is designed for me to continue to grow and develop, right? My top 3 values are personal growth and development, integrity, and family. So my business is built around those values. My lifestyle is built around those values. And as a result, I don't need external motivation to keep me going.
Love that. And in that comes a lot of consistency because, as you said, situations change. Again, we're living in the middle of a pandemic. So many things are happening that we didn't anticipate, we can't control. So living from the inside out is really a very consistent approach. Loving the question, guys. Keep them coming. I have another question here, Stacey. So you recommended that we have the people in our life, the cheerleader, the mentor, the coach, etc. How do you go about choosing those people? I think this particular person, they were like, well, they could have more than one person who fits that bill. I mean, how do you go about identifying who those people are in your life?
Great question. So the first thing is what I recommend for everybody is to make sure each person is a different person. And the reason for that is because the same way that person may be a coach for you, they may be actually mentoring someone else. And so you don't want them to coach and mentor you because these are pulling on 2 different extreme sort of ways to support. So first things first is to just mindset shift to you need 5 separate different people. And then the first place to look is right now looking into your cell phone, look at the last 5 people that you text and figuring out of the last 5 people that you text, and from one of those 5 people, at least they should be fulfilling one of those roles. If not, that's the reason why you're not succeeding at having enough passion to be able to fulfill your dreams, right? Because if you are the average of the 5 people you choose to associate with the most, the people you text are literally who you associate with the most. So if I were to look at my phone right now, let me pull it up. If I look at my phone right now, I have my son, my best friend, my baby sister, one of my great friends, and then another one of my great friends. So in here, I literally have one of my great friends who serves as a cheerleader for me right now, and then another one of my best friend who actually serves as the friend. So in my top 5, I have 2 people, and I'm spending the most time with them because they're literally the last person that I text. Now, if you're not a texter, look at your call log. Who's the last 5 people that you talk to on the phone? If you want to look at it purely from a professional's perspective, look at the last 5 emails that you sent to people. And make it, I understand that in our work emails, it's a little bit of a different dynamic. So make sure it's emails that you're sending where there's an actual dialogue. Look at those last 5 emails and ask yourself, what role does this person play in my life? So that would be like the first tip, is to literally look at your average and assign a role. Like, oh, this friend is very cheerleader. She's 1,000% rooting for me, believes in me when I can't believe in myself. She's my cheerleader right now. Second to that, I think that a mindset shift around mentors and coaches is really helpful, in that mentors are designed to point you in the right direction. And most people's mindset around mentors is that I need to sit down with them every week or every month for coffee, and that's how I know they're my mentor. No, someone can actually cyber mentor you. And I actually have my mentor right now as a cyber mentor. And what you want to look for with a cyber mentor is somebody who is willing and able to share information that points you in the right direction. And so what that would look like is, let's say you're following somebody on Instagram, they have an Instagram, they have a podcast, and they're on a couple different platforms. And let's say you want to build a candle business, but this person whose content you're consuming, they're talking about interior design. Now, this person can't be your mentor because the content that they are willing to share consistently isn't going to point you in the right direction for your candle business. So a better mentor would be to find someone who has a candle business, who talks about the behind the scenes of having a candle business, and just consuming what they share about that and letting that person be your mentor. And let's say they have a podcast that comes out every week, put it on your calendar, whatever time their podcast comes out, you sit down with a cup of tea and you pretend, you imagine that you're sitting across from this person and you're having lunch, and this is what they say to you at that session. And then you digest it and you get to work. But the thing is just to make sure your mentor is pointing you in the right direction, which means you obviously have to establish what direction that you want to go in. And so when I do my mentors, I tend to do a mentor for my personal life and then a mentor for my professional life. Right now, I'm building a second business, a life coaching practice. And so I have a very specific cyber mentor who's helping me to build a life coaching practice. But in the personal side of my life, I'm an empty nester. I'm in a very new season. I have no idea what it means to be here. So the person who's mentoring me into just having more fun, being more leisurely, living life without the concern of my child. It's a very, I actually needed guidance and someone to point me in the right direction. So I didn't just run out and sabotage my life. So I would say that mindset shift around mentoring, a cyber mentor, will be incredibly helpful because there's so much content that is available online right now that comes out regularly. And if you consume it as if it was personalized for you, it'll be the game changer. And it's the same thing with respect to coaching. Oftentimes we can't afford to make an investment in coaching, but if someone is regularly putting out content that's actually pushing you out of your comfort zone to think about implementing, that's a coach. So you can have cyber coaches and cyber mentors.
I love that. And I'm glad you mentioned cyber coaching and cyber mentoring, because a lot of people feel like, well, little old me, I could never find a mentor. And as you said, there are just so many great people putting out awesome content that can really be smack applied to you. It's a great opportunity. And I love that example about looking in your phone. And I certainly feel the call to action. There's an opportunity to do some inventory. The people who you're talking to the most, if they're not serving any of those roles, maybe they're not pouring into you the way that they need to.
And here's the thing, this isn't a warrior cry to dump all your people.
Right.
It is a call to action to intentionally add someone, right, to that top 5. So a lot of people, when they hear that, they think they just have to get rid of people. No, I'm not suggesting you end any relationships. I'm saying you prioritize intentionally your relationship. That is somebody who is in your top 5. So that, if succeeding at something is what you want, that's the work that will be required to do that.
Love that. Love that. Another great question here. How do you, it's probably a little bit more on the business side, I guess, or personal financial management side. How do you manage risks that may prevent your own financial growth?
How do I manage risks that may prevent my own financial growth?
Yeah.
So how do I manage that may prevent my own financial growth? Okay, so for example, I'm opening up a life coaching practice, and there is risk with that. And the way that I am managing the risk for opening a second fully fledged functioning company is that I keep my lifestyle very, very lean. So obviously my income is at a place where I can live in a much bigger home than the one that I'm choosing to live in. But I'm choosing to live in this home so that cash flow wise, I don't have super big expenses that would then force me to have to make that business immediately profitable because my mortgage or my rent is so high. So that's probably the biggest thing, is that I have a very, very lean personal lifestyle, so that way when I start my companies, they are not forced to be extraordinarily profitable in that first year. They get to naturally have a gestation period to become, and they're not smothered with the stress of well, this business has to make $2,000 because my mortgage is $2,000. I don't have that kind of thing. So I think that that's probably the biggest strategy, is that but in my lifestyle being lean, it's not lean to the degree where I'm not living where I don't want to live, or I'm not having what I don't want to have. It's just a smaller version of the things that I want. And so a lot of people, if you follow my journey on YouTube, if you see my income, people are like, I don't understand why you're living so lean. And I'm like, well, because I know why I'm doing this, and I know, what I want to build. And, this time next year, I'll have 2 companies that own over $250,000. I rather have that and not have this psychological financial pressure, because I'm also trying to manage another 3-story, 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath downtown duplex.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great advice. And especially now, again, we're living in the middle of what's really a financial crisis. We don't know when things will change. It's good to keep things as predictable as you can, as much
Yeah.
for the things you can control, so that you have the bandwidth to either explore a new opportunity or to, just have a little cushion there in case.
And here's the thing, I understand that a lot of people are already in situations where it's like, well, I already got a mortgage, there's nothing I can do. Even that, shift your mindset. Like, there's a gap between there's nothing I can do and there's something I can do, right? Like, there's a small breath, and just be still in that breath and allow your creativity to say, okay, I understand that I just moved into this amazing place, but what would it look like if I got a roommate? What would it look like if I downsized? What would it look like? Like, just allow the gap between, I don't want to do that, and I don't have, like, just allow the gap between those 2 things to give you a moment of, like, let me just be creative here. Let me just open my eyes as I'm looking at this obstacle. What is my why for how and what business I'm creating? And is that why solid enough to make the how of possibly getting a roommate or downsizing or, changing my lifestyle in some way? Is that why strong enough to overcome this how, which is quite temporary?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. I have a great question here, and I'm sure it applies to a lot of people, because when we talk about, passion, finding your passion, igniting your passion, living your passion, people tend to associate that with some kind of entrepreneurial venture, because, you're creating a dream, or you have a dream and you're pursuing it. This question is, what does passion look like for someone with a 9 to 5? So I'm employed, and I guess, okay, is it just, do I have to become an entrepreneur to find passion? How
No,
do I do it?
not at all. So the actual definition of passion, and I talk about this in my 21 questions journal, the actual definition of passion is a willingness to suffer for. So the reason why passion is so deeply connected with entrepreneurship is because the entrepreneur's journey has quite a lot of suffering in it until you become successful, right? But when all of us have passions, all of us have something that we're willing to suffer for. And the term suffering, it has a range. Like, it could be like deep suffering, right? Or it could just be like mild suffering. So when I was younger, well, I mean, I'm still good at it, but when I was younger, I used to do hair all the time. And I just love doing hair. And what I would sacrifice are, like, I wouldn't, like, go to my prom. I mean, I would be busy. Like, I would go to my proms late. I would be working on the weekends. And here I am, like 13, 14, 15, 16. And I'm, like, doing hair on holidays and weekends. And most people would not be willing to suffer through losing their weekends in order to do hair. But I was so passionate about, like, making people look good and also really listening to people's problems, because that's what happens when you do hair, that, like, I was willing to suffer through not having my weekends just to be able to do somebody's hair and make them feel better when they left the chair, right? Like, when I think about, I'm very passionate about personal growth and development, and I'm willing to suffer for that, in the sense of, like, even when I think about my financial journey, like, I wanted to document my growth. So I was willing to go through people seeing me at the beginning in a very sort of embarrassing, humiliating state, because I'm passionate enough about personal growth and development. So to the person that has the 9 to 5, it's like, look in your life and look at the things that you are willing to do that people are like, girl, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you sit and read. I don't know how you do. Like, when people are saying that, they're identifying suffering. They're saying, I would never do that with my time, because in their mind, it's suffering. But in your life, it's passion. And so if you have a 9 to 5 and there's just something, whether it could be gardening, it could be writing, it could be cleaning, it could be anything, that is your passion. And in you having that passion and you having a 9 to 5, the idea is passion is a really, really great fuel, because it's so for you. So let's just say, there's stress is mounting in your 9 to 5, or, there's just things. Well, to ease the pressure in your 9 to 5, allow yourself to indulge your passions more, so you will be fueled by feeling good doing the thing that you enjoy doing, right? If it's gardening, garden. If it's sitting on the beach, beach. I mean, I love books. I read like 3 or 4 books a week, and people are like, what? I would never do that. But I'm willing to suffer to be able to get this information out of it. So I would just encourage you to look at your passions as, what am I willing to suffer for? And how can I turn that into fuel? Because I'm willing to listen to somebody talk for a very long time, it turns into fuel for me when I then need to get on stage and share a message and relate to people from all around the world. Because I'm willing to suffer and read books, turns into fuel for me. Same thing for you in your 9 to 5.
I love that. And of course a great outlet, because 9 to 5 comes with its own set of problems, and sometimes that passion gives you the fuel, the energy, and the outlet to just exhale.
I will tell you too, even in your 9 to 5, you can find your passion. So my background is in human resources. And so when I was first trying to figure out where I wanted to work in human resources, I remember being in a graduate class, and they brought in this guy who was a recruiter. So his human resources job was to recruit people to work for companies. And when I tell you, he was the most passionate man about recruiting that I had ever met in my entire life. So he starts his lecture and he's just like, you guys all know Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan, the basketball player. And so we're like, yeah, we know Michael Jordan, the basketball player. And he was just like, well, did you know he didn't always play for the Bulls? And we're like, yeah, we understand that. And he was just like, did you know he was picked by, and he named whoever he was picked by, and they recruited him to come and play for the Bulls. And everybody was like, yeah. And he was just like, yeah, that's my job. I get to recruit people to come and play for the Bulls. I was like, is that how you see your job? He's like, when a company reaches out to me and hires me to find their Michael Jordan, every time I'm looking, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. But this man was so passionate about recruiting that the way he did his requisitions, the way he sourced his people, the way he vetted his people, the extra work, the extra interviewing, just to make sure it was a right fit between the employee and the company, because he literally thought he was finding the Michael Jordans for everything. Could you imagine being that out? He was dripping passion. He was like, that's my job, to find companies their Michael Jordans. I said, sir. But imagine when he goes to work, because he was able to identify the thing that he really loves is finding that match. Because he was like, Michael was great on his own, the Bulls were great on their own, but when they came together, that was their thing. So if you're sitting in your 9 to 5 and you're an accountant, or you're a lawyer, or you're a representative, what little thing in there are you super deeply passionate about? And just kick it up a notch.
Love that. And the power of perspective. So this question is definitely for Stacey, the lady with the 1.5 bath. How do we let go of an overwhelming desire to want to fix other people's problems? This person has this question, and I know you'll be great at answering.
So I'll give you 2 answers. I'll give you a sort of a spiritual, philosophical answer, and then a little bit more of a practical answer. So from a spiritual, philosophical perspective, what I had to finally do is believe that the same goodness, awesomeness, amazingness that God put in me to figure out my problems, that he actually put it in them too. And I had to trust the portion that he gave them. And if I was sitting on earth trying to do his job and trying to control and fix and help, then I'm literally looking God in the face and saying, okay, you couldn't handle this one, so I'm going to handle it for you. And when I sat down with myself, that didn't square with the God that I believe in, the God who's capable of just doing amazing things. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't help people. This doesn't mean that I don't love people. This doesn't mean that I don't support people. But it means that I don't get in God's business. And you're in God's business when helping someone else is taxing you, because he didn't build us for taxing. It says all over that life is a gift and this is precious. And so you get into God's business when you are so taxed that you're having a nervous breakdown because everybody has moved into your home. At the end of the day, at a spiritual level, I was saying, oh, well, I don't trust that God is going to take care of my family, so I have to do it. And I had to reconcile that, right? Right? So that's sort of the spiritual, philosophical side. It's like, I don't know what your belief system is, but do you believe in a source, power, God, bigger, greater than you, that gave you your portion and then their portion and knows what they're doing? Then from a practical perspective, understanding that sometimes when we're helping and we're serving and we're not letting go, we are literally preventing that person from getting their wings. And I remember reading in a book, it talked about the process of a butterfly. And so you know how like a butterfly is a caterpillar and then it goes into a chrysalis and then it's in the chrysalis for a little bit and then it comes out and it flies. Well, there was this guy doing research on butterflies, and he wanted to capture the butterfly at each of the different stages. And so he watched the caterpillar go into a chrysalis and he would cut it out at certain times just to sort of measure it. And he kept doing it, and he watched the caterpillar in the chrysalis get to like the very end stage. And as he was watching the caterpillar do it, he saw like it struggling. It was almost like the wings were kind of stuck in the chrysalis. It was like a little bit. And so he took a little scissors and he clipped the thing to just make it a little bit easier for the butterfly to come out. And so in him doing that, it was easier for the butterfly to come out, but that butterfly never flew. And the reason the butterfly never flew is because what they found out scientifically is that when the caterpillar is becoming a butterfly in the chrysalis and it's at the butterfly stage and trying to break out of the chrysalis, the movement of its wings is creating a serum or secreting a liquid that needs to coat the wings so that way, when it's finally out, the butterfly can actually fly. So in him clipping that little corner to help the butterfly out, it didn't give the butterfly enough struggle to move its wings enough for the wings to get coated so it can fly. So from a practical perspective, sometimes when you're helping, you are literally preventing people from coating their wings. Sometimes the struggle is just to get the liquid on it. It's just to get the overflow. It's just to strengthen them so that they can fly. So from a practical perspective, stop clipping people's wings.
Wow, I love that. I love that analogy. It's awesome. There's another quick question here about, I mean, we're in COVID, and I think this is a popular question that a lot of our speakers have been answering as well somehow. Has COVID impacted you? How has it impacted you? And what are you doing to drive your business in this new normal that we're living in?
Yes. So I may get a little bit emotional here.
That's fine.
Yes, COVID has impacted me. So towards the end of the third quarter, my mom actually got COVID, and she was very, very sick. She was sick to the point where she just really couldn't move very much, and she was like in a walker, and it was just really bad. And then she got pneumonia, and it just got really, 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 really bad. And it was very hard for me because, as you can imagine from my opening story, the role that I sort of play in my family, I'm in a healthier space now, is sort of being the pillar and being the person who fixes things, makes things better, like so on and so forth. And when my mom got sick, I literally couldn't do anything. And that was a very hard surrendering, just to accept that like I couldn't do anything. And I remember talking to my son's father and him telling me that, COVID is a disease that you have to fight by yourself. And the best thing that you can do for your mom is to stay healthy. And that means you staying away from her. And it was literally the hardest thing that I ever had to face. And I live in a different city than my mom. And so I was just like, well, and I had told my son's dad, I was like, well, okay, if I don't come, is there any way you can check on my mom? Can you just make sure she's okay and she's, doing different things? And so my son's dad would go and check on my mom. And, she finally came through. And within maybe about a week or two of her coming out of COVID, then my son's dad got diagnosed with COVID. And that was very scary because my son was there and, he loves his dad, and like, it was very hard. And I blamed myself for a little bit because I was like, maybe if he wasn't checking on my mom, then he wouldn't have got it. And like, I'm trying to save my mom's life and I may be taking my son's father from him. So it literally like impacted me in that like two people in my family who I love a lot had it. And I'm grateful now that they're like out of it and they're doing much better. But it's very, very scary to see your family come to that place so close to an end and to be so sick. And the biggest thing that I did was I forced myself to stay away so that I could stay healthy, which was incredibly hard, right? Like that, like it's incredibly hard. So I followed the precautions to stay away, to stay healthy. In terms of my business, I think that the best thing that I did to respond to how COVID was actually hitting my family was all of the stuff that I did before COVID had come, in terms of me setting up a business that I lived for my values, setting up a business that was self-sustaining, setting up systems so that when I was emotionally overwhelmed because my mom was so sick and then my son's dad was so sick, I was able to step back. When my son's dad wasn't able to go to work, like I was able to step in financially for our family and support and do the things that I needed to do. So I think that I was very lucky in that I had pre-made decisions in my business that enabled me to be able to respond to personally being hit medically with COVID in a way that we're okay. We're doing okay. The advice that I would give to somebody who's currently dealing with COVID and possibly the personal medical side of it is, again, stay away and understand, like there was like a surrendering that I had to do, right? Like it literally was not within my control, and it's like the most annoying advice ever. But when you surrender, then that's when other ideas about how you can process what you can do, where other people can go, can come up. So that's sort of how it has impacted me. Specifically, how COVID has impacted my business. Obviously, like as a speaker, I don't know if you guys can tell from how I tell stories, I would much rather prefer being on stage in front of you guys. And I'm not able to do that. And so the biggest pivot that I've had to make is figuring out how to do my work digitally, and figuring out how to translate the value of the spoken word virtually, figuring out how to do that. But again, I think that the strategy that I employed there was giving myself enough time to respond so that I didn't react. So if you notice, last year, there's not a lot of content that came out from me, not just because I physically, like my family was going through stuff, but also because I was giving myself time to be prepared for right now. Like I have energy, I have excitement, I went through some stuff, but I'm able to be present here today because I actually took the time to pause for a little bit and respond. And so in that regard, I would say if you're a company and you're feeling the pressure and the strain of COVID, to just pause. Like, and again, trust that a pause doesn't mean you quit or failed. It is literally a pause, and rethink and reframe so that way you can respond to it, because it doesn't look like it's going away as quickly as we had anticipated. So I anticipate 2021 being a year where we're going to be processing it as well. Sorry, I got a little emotional there, but it's the first time I've talked about it.
Yeah, no. Oh no, thank you for sharing, because when we talk about COVID, in as much as so many people have been physically impacted by the infection,
Yeah.
not everybody knows a lot of people who have. And so the fact, we're expecting to get a business response, and then it's your family. So, I'm sure I speak on behalf of everyone that we're so glad that your mom and your son's dad were able to find healing, and that you're able to come on the other side.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's a blessing, because unfortunately so many people were not. So it's a wonderful blessing, and we're happy for you. Well, final question.
Okay.
This one says, what strategies do you have for managing stress and improving communication skills? I feel like you probably touched on the managing stress side a little bit, so maybe you could weigh in a little more on the improving communication skills especially, but
Yeah.
over to you.
So the number one thing for managing stress quickly is to do a gratitude practice. My gratitude practice is I walk every day in the morning and I recite out loud, I am so happy and grateful, and then I insert something that I have or something that's coming into my life. But you can write your gratitude, you can meditate, you can pray your gratitude, but just doing any sort of gratitude practice relieves an incredible amount of stress, because gratitude shifts your perspective and your mindset, and so much stress is happening for us mentally. In terms of improving your communication skills, I think, this is going to be a little on the nose, but you do have to talk more. But I think that a lot of the reasons why people are not strong communicators is because they don't know themselves. So when I'm getting ready to share, I'm very clear on who I am. So there's stuff that I just won't talk about because I'm not there. But people catch me talking about things that I know what I'm talking about. But I only know that because I've taken the time to get to know myself. So I would say solid communication would come from you taking the time to sit and say, okay, well, what are my values? What do I like? What are my dislikes? What is the mission of my company? What is organizations I want to like? It's taking the time to sit down to do that. I remember when I was getting booked for this event, and Stephanie, one of the committee members, she was telling me the vision of this company and all, and I was like, yes, I'm doing this. But she knew this company inside and out. So when it came time for her to see whether or not if I would be a good fit, she was able to communicate the purpose of this event so well. She was able to communicate the heart of the company so well, but that comes from an inner knowing. And so a lot of our lack of communication skills is just a reflection of us just not knowing enough about ourselves to have something to communicate about. And then next to that, it's the limit in the information that we consume. It tends to be that people consume more entertainment than education, and that significantly limits your communication. And so what I suggest for people in terms of consumption is that obviously uptick your intentional educational content. And it doesn't mean registering for school. There are a lot of podcasts, a lot of social media things where it's educational content. But when you're consuming the content, I do a 1 to 3 ratio of consumption to creation. So for every one piece of content that I consume, I create 3 things out of it. And when I say create, I use that term loosely just because I like alliterations. But like, so say, for example, I read a book. Before I let myself consume another book, I need to create something with it. Whether it's like, oh, I'm going to do a podcast and I'm going to talk about what I learned, or I'm going to write a quote on a piece of paper and put it on my wall. That is me creating this quote card for myself. Or I'm going to create an Insta storyline based off something that I learned. Like, I literally think through creating 3 things based off this information that I've just learned before I go on to consume the next thing. Because a lot of people, again, they don't know how to communicate because even in their consuming, they're not digesting anything. So when it comes time to say something, you don't have anything to say. You're just parodying what someone else has said. And that looks like lower skilled communication.
Had trouble finding my unmute button there. Thank you for that. And yeah, YouTube University, awesome place. Great to be consuming content. And what you just said kind of rolls back to one of the earlier fireside chats that you can only go do so many free webinars and so on. It's how are you assimilating the information and of course applying it practically to make the difference in your life. Actually, is when the rubber can really hit the road. Stacey. You are absolutely awesome. Your sharing, your presentation, your authenticity, your openness, your advice. It has just been wonderful. I mean, I just will have to give a quick pause and big up one of our marketing team members, Felicia Williams, who herself is a life coach, and in addition to that's her passion, and she works here at JMMB, but she's one of your avid followers, and she was the one that said we gotta get Stacey, because as you talk about the brand, we like to ensure that the people that we have to be a part of this are aligned with our values and our why, our purpose. And she's like, yeah, Stacey, and of course we checked you out, and awesome,
Yeah,
and we're so glad.
And here's the thing, if it's in alignment with when you guys are sending out information to the people who join this conference, so many people want to know where to find a coach. In JMMB, there is a coach right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just respond to the email and inquire more.
Absolutely. So we are just so very grateful. You answered the call yourself. You are so excited, and we're just so very happy. How can folks find you? Because there are some people who knew you before. Some people are just meeting you like this, and your Jamaican fan base is gonna go through the roof. That's what Elevate does with all of our international speakers. Their Jamaican fan base goes through the roof. So where can folks find you and connect with you and consume your content?
Yes, I am Stacey Flowers everywhere. So I have a podcast, the Stacey Flowers Podcast. My Instagram is Stacey Flowers. and my YouTube is Stacey Flowers. So on my podcast, I dive into deeper topics that we need to talk about, but we don't often talk about. So like therapy and sort of deeper sort of things. On my YouTube channel, that's mostly where you can see me doing my financial journey. There's a little bit of entrepreneur content that's coming there. And then Instagram is where you sort of get the real time, what I'm doing in my life right now and in my personal life. And so the big thing in my personal life is transitioning into empty nest, and then also decorating my home and like figuring out and understanding homemaking. So depending on, you know, if you want sort of more of the personal, that you're going to find more real-time personal on Instagram. Financial, you'll see that on YouTube. And then philosophical, therapeutic, mental, mindset things, that you'll find that on the podcast. But it's Stacey Flowers everywhere.
Thank you. All right. So yeah, so your Jamaican fan club is gonna be hitting those subscribe buttons right about now. And Stacey, thank you so much, guys. Let's tap those applause buttons and say big up, a Jamaican big up to Stacey for an awesome presentation, for your time, your generosity, and just really pouring into all of us here today. And we wish for you and yours continued safety, protection, health, wealth, and all that's great and wonderful for 2021 and beyond. And we just sending you all the Jamaican love your way. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So I'm going to do some housekeeping. So Stacey will close out. So guys, we have some more announcements to make because we got the final set of prizes to give away. But guys, make I tell you this, and I'm not saying it because I work here, because I'm making my notes too. I'm getting this poured into me. Third year of doing Elevate has really so inspired and done so much for me personally. I'm telling you the God honest truth, because you plan this thing and you don't always know what you're gonna get, and you do all the investigation, and then you go and you get these awesome people just sharing great information and sharing of themselves, that you cannot help but come away feeling great. So guys, trust me, Elevate 3.0 is almost done. We're going to give away the last set of prizes. So first of all, remember, we are going to be emailing out a survey, closeout survey. Guys, yeah, we do this for you every single year. We want to make sure that we're giving you what you need to help you, to empower you to achieve your goals. So please look out for the survey link, complete it, because if you do, you get a chance to be one of 10 awesome winners who will win a $45 Amazon.com gift voucher. So guys, fill out those surveys. You could be one of 10 winners, and Amazon.com, wherever in the world you are, you'll be able to take advantage of that awesome prize. Now, in terms of this past session, because we've been loving the engagement, the tweets, them ton up, the comments ton up, so we have some prizes to give out. First of all, I'm loving this comment, our first winner from Charmaine Brim. Hey, Charmaine shared, talk about saving the best for last. Really love this young lady's testimony and guidance. Our random engagement winner here in the last session. Yes, Charmaine, Stacey is fabulous. You get yourself a nice M10 bar and grill gift certificate. Yummy in the tummy. Enjoy that. Big up to M10. Then now we have another awesome participant who said, your why is your greatest accountability. Sharika Burrell. It will keep you on track when you want to just give up. Yes, Sharika, we agree. Everybody needs to tap into their why. So you're going to get a Center Yourself gift item. Center Yourself, awesome company, Jamaican made candles and body care products, natural and nice. Then now on another engagement winner, we have 3 more to go, so keep listening, and then I have another 3 winners to announce. Another awesome comment: take back the power out of the hands of others. Their opinions ultimately have no bearing on the outcome of your life unless you allow it to. So we got an awesome acronym, POWER, and we're taking back our power. Yes, Dahlia Miller, you're going to Adam and Eve Day Spa and Salon, getting a gift certificate. Yes, guys, we're sending back the chicken We're not take no chicken. We are living up to the awesome expectations in 2021 and beyond. Now, guys, we had some Twitter action going on. So you saw where Shauna J got a prize in the last segment on Twitter, and she kept going. Thanks, Shauna. Big up yourself. We have 2 Twitter prizes. Some people are really tearing up Twitter. First up, we have Fabian Sanchez. Fabian was tweeting away, keeping everybody apprised of all of Stacey's awesome nuggets. So, Fabian, you're going to get a nice Jamaican-made item from Brescia. So, we'll be contacting all of our winners afterwards. And then another friend of JMMB Elevate, this lady was also tweeting her heart out. And guess what? She's not an Elevate newbie either. Coincidentally, when we saw her tweeted, we said we know she come to Elevate, I think, from year 1, right? Samoya Cochran, you're going to get a nice Adam and Eve day spa and salon gift cert. We know you're always an Elevate follower, but we thank you specifically today for tweeting and keeping everybody up and about. Now, and aware, now we have our activity challenge winners. So some of you went into the activity challenge room and was completing the activities. And yes, I'm sure the activities were edifying and educational perhaps. But for the top prize winners in terms of points amassed, okay? We have 2 awesome gift boxes. I don't know if I can see them beside me, behind me right here. Fabulous gift boxes with JMMB branded paraphernalia and other things nice. We're going to give away one of those to our top 3 activity winners in no particular order. Rochelle Lewis, big up yourself. You completed activities, got enough points. You're in our top 3. You're going to get a gift box. Aisha Ritchie, hey Aisha, activity challenge top 3 winner as well. You are going to get a JMMB gift box. And then our last top 3 winner, but certainly not least, Tamara Ballantyne Powell, you're going to get a nice laptop bag from Brescia. So those are our top 3 winners. So guys, we give a prize them past 2 days. I think it's about 40 prizes we probably gave out. And you know, we have to big up and thank our sponsors. We're going to tell you what's next for JMMB Elevate 3.0. But big up our sponsors, M10 Bar and Grill, Center Yourself, Adam and Eve Day Spa, and Brescia. Thank you to our awesome sponsors. We couldn't have done this without you. And guys, we're just getting started because you're going to be hearing from us at JMMB about how we can take our stuff to the next level. Now, we want to encourage you to go over to our YouTube channel when you can, because we have some awesome sessions. The learning don't stop. I love Stacey's point about consuming the right content to educate and inform yourself with the information you need to fire up your passion and get where you need to go and do what you need to do to realize your own greatness. But we're going to be keeping in touch. We're going to be bringing you more great content throughout 2021. I know that's every year we get the feedback. I come to Elevate, I have the mountaintop experience and I want more. We're going to keep it going. So yes, check out our YouTube channel. All of our Goal Getter Live episodes are there with a myriad of topics, everything from career to lifestyle to money to people, all sort of things. All Paul Brunson and his wife did, and our former Elevate keynote speaker, Paul C. Brunson, and his wife did an awesome session, and his wife has probably done only 2 sessions in her life. So JMMB got a near exclusive on that one. They did a session on relationships. So check out our YouTube channel and keep in touch with us. Look out for our emails, guys, because we're going to be touching base with you to tell you how we're going to keep the movement going throughout 2021 as we work towards achieving our goals. Yeah, COVID not done, but we not done neither. We are pressing through. So thank you so much. I have to big up my JMMB marketing team. Can't do it without my marketing team. You see, yes, I'm here. I'm in the hot seat. But everybody is in the back here doing work. We're here late, run home before curfew, lock way out. I mean, it's been a tough journey, but we're so grateful. And of course, we have to acknowledge people like Jerome Jarrett, Uncle Clyde, and Andrew O'Connor, who joined us. We had all of our team members in the advisory rooms doing the small goal sessions. Thank you, JMMB family. And thank you to you guys, the attendees. We couldn't do this without you. Hundreds of people joining us. Thank you. Stay in touch with JMMB. We are coming out with more great stuff in 2021, and we wish for you continued health, wealth, safety. So everybody take care and wash your hands, wear your mask, keep safe. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Elevate 3.0 is out.